This is Mr. Eggcat Mark 6. He wakes up on the floor of a ruined kitchen. He's surrounded by his tools and a few bits of equipment that he vaguely remembers keeping. He's not sure how he got here. His last memories are of angry faces, a rather large pain in the back of his head. This is one man's quest to find cigarettes in a ruined world. First, we need to get into what kind of character Mr. Eggcat Mark 6 is. He's a doom prepper, which means he comes already stacked with quite a few little decent traits. I imagine that someone who has managed to survive this long in the apocalypse 10 years into the future comes with a few perks. A well-rounded set of other stats you can see on the screen now. That's about it. Covers the basics of who this fellow is. He wakes up and takes stock of his surroundings. He's got a bunch of gear. Must have been doing some carpentry work when he was knocked out, because he's got a hammer and some nails and some planks, as well as an inventory stack full of other bits and pieces that he puts on straight away. He acquires a fedora and 2 fanny packs and marks this initial home as clear. He puts a little smiley face next to it because he's a cheeky little chap. Then he takes his first look outside into the ruined world, overgrown and beautiful. He spies his first zombie, gets closer, destroys them. He's dealt with this a million times, he knows exactly what he's doing. Heads into the next building, sneaks around, slowly. Finds a Dog Goblin VHS, which does pique his curiosity. Sounds kind of naughty, so stops to drink an orange soda from the fridge. Nothing quite like an orange soda in an apocalypse. Really, it just does wonders. He finds a school bag upstairs, perfect, and stops to load his shotgun. Things are probably about to get a bit more hairy. He marks the next building off on his map, and also writes that there's a usable van outside. He heads into the street, takes care of the next couple of zombies. No problems here. Like I said, he's a master of his art with his axe. He's done this a million times before. Heads into the next house. And here is the first of the rules that Mr. Eggcat Mark 6 lives by. It's the reason he survived so long. In this tight scenario, surrounded by zombies, he has one simple rule: fight outside. So he does. He lures them outside. Easy. Marks the house off. Heads over to the next one, finds a new pair of boots. That's a can of sardines. Keep him going. Stops for a juice box in the kitchen. Upstairs he finds a rifle. That's another one of Mr. Eggcat's rules. No guns. Not yet. He marks off on the map later to be picked up if he needs it. He finds this house with an ambulance outside and a bunch of zombies. They're easy enough to get rid of. Slow, shambling. Not that hard to deal with. Tries to understand what story might have happened here with the ambulance. Are these the last patients this one ever picked up? Or was there a paramedic living here? These kind of stories are the things that keep him going in this pretty much lonely, ruined world. He looks under the hood. All good. Something to remember for the future. His next rule: whisper. Draw them out. Give them a little hello, and they'll come crawling out. Spies some zombies approaching from his other angle. Enters the middle of the road. Lots of space. Spatial awareness. Vigilance. Yes, Mr. Eggcat. Legend. Heads inside. Kills the rest of the zombies. Here begins the next rule to live by. Why he survived so long? Rule number 3. There's always another zombie. This one almost sneaks up behind him, but he deals with him pretty sharpish. This one made no sound either, but sometimes they don't. Heads upstairs to do some squats before bed. Marks the house off. That's done. And heads to bed. And thus spends day 1. So begins day number 2. He wakes up early, 4 o'clock in the morning. He's extremely anxious because he really needs a cigarette. That's the day's quest, is to find at least one delicious cigarette. He's downstairs with his hand torch. Pretty spooky. Want some pickles for breakfast? You just can't go wrong with a tasty handful of pickles. Seem to last forever. Heads outside with his hand torch and has a look around. It's spooky. Really spooky. Find some zombies at the next house. Has to clear them up. Horrific faces illuminated by the hand torch. Starts to get a bit lighter at about 6:30. Puts away the torch, kills a few more zombies nearby. Find some chips. Perfect. Mid-morning snack. Find some more zombies. Seem to be hiding around every corner, these slow, shambling, silent freaks. He marks that house off the map as cleared. This zombie gives him a horrible jump scare. It's just lurking in the vines off to his left, didn't see him. He marks that house off too. He scours the newspaper from stories from the past that might cheer him up. This man needs cigarettes, stat. He's downstairs and has another orange soda to cure that depression. You hear that, guys? If you want to be happy, just drink an orange soda. All your problems will go away. This dead cat knows. He knows everything. There are more zombies outside. This is actually the biggest group he's had to face yet, and things get a little bit intense as he dodges and weaves around the trees. The twigs get snatched from the corner of his clothes. There are a lot of them, but he stays calm. He's got the orange soda coursing through his veins after all. Nectar of the gods. Keeps him going. Dispatches them pretty easily. No problems here. He loots their bodies. Finds a golden ring that he's going to wear. Heads into the next house. There, on the side, he finds 2 cigarettes left over by some former partygoer long time ago. They're kind of dry and crusty, but they'll do. Oh, they will do. He rejoices. A cigarette, at last. His mission is somewhat complete though, because he still hasn't found a lighter or matches. He finds a lighter, heads upstairs to the room, has that sweet first drag. Don't smoke, kids, it's very bad for you. Unless it's zombie apocalypse, in which case, please smoke as much as you want. Doesn't really matter anyway, everything's doomed. Smoke 45 a day, who cares? Next up, he sees this small grocery shop, small corner shop here. You think he's going to have a little look at it. He's got equipped with his sack that he might be able to fill up with some yummy things. He has a look around, there's a zombie hidden around the edge of the building, so he dispatches that quickly. Unfortunately, when he goes inside, he realises that actually these shelves are just full of rotten food. There are a couple of chocolate chips here and there, and little things he can take. Most of it's ruined. It makes him feel pretty sad. Either way, he marks it down on his map for future reference that there is actually food here, and it could be useful one day in the future. After that, he goes to sleep, wakes up the next morning, on the morning of day 3. 1:20 in the morning, so his sleep pattern is already completely ruined. He's sleeping like I do. He has a look around this little house, gets his bearings, and heads outside with his torch again. This isn't one of Mr. Cat's rules. He doesn't mind going out at night. Sometimes it's good because the zombies can't see you, but it is pretty spooky when anything is just illuminated with the light torch. It's a very thin beam. He heads down the street, very carefully. Scanning all the time, doing full 360s, checking his corners. The trees have shadows in them. There are rustlings in the hedges. Everything's pretty spooky, but he feels okay. He's been doing this for a long time. He finds comfort at night time. He can move in the shadows just like the zombies. And usually you can hear them coming anyway. As he's looking, he sees a rather large horde in the front garden of a nearby house. He decides he doesn't really want to fight them. He sneaks away, hoping that they won't be able to see him. He keeps hunting down the dark street. He's a little bit panicked, looking in every direction. Where are the zombies? He can hear them, but he can't see them in the dark. But everything's okay. Stay calm. Stay calm. Peeks through the window and sees a zombie shambling in the shadows. He thinks he can hear someone outside, but he's just checking. He's just checking. He waits for the zombie to come through the window. As he heads down the street, he bumps into a rather large horde. They're already onto him, which means he's going to have to fight them. He doesn't mind. His hand axe breaks, but it's okay. He's got his hammer. It'll do the job just fine. He finds another zombie inside. This one scares him. He does his little whisper technique. He heads inside, and there are a lot of zombies in the building. This is a moment of quite a lot of panic. You slowly shamble towards him. He stays calm. Stays calm. He doesn't follow his one simple rule though, fight outside. He feels cornered, he feels trapped. pushes, he slams, he uses his hammer to its best advantage. And everything's completely fine. Oof, that was a little bit more intense though. Probably should have gone through the window or the door or something. Gotta follow your own rules, Mr. Eggcat. He gets inside and finds his rubber ducky, his first friend. He needs a name for the rubber duck. Please leave it below in the comments section. Best name wins. The rubber duck will join with him along his entire journey. What a cute little guy. As he heads outside, the sun has come up, but it's quite foggy. He finds this house that looks pretty good. The fence seems to be in okay nick. It's right in the woods. Kind of likes the look of this place to set up base. He has a look around. There are more houses nearby he can loot. No zombies around? Yeah, seems perfect. He marks it on his map. That's his new home. Casa del Eggcat. Sanctuary in a zombie storm. He continues looting. As he heads outside, he finds 20 cigarettes on this zombie, as if delivered by the zombie god himself. Drops the cigarettes into his inventory and smokes one immediately over the top of the corpse. Smokes right in its face. It says, "Thank you, sir. Whoever you were in a past life, thank you so much for this bounty." You don't know how good that is to find 20 cigarettes on a zombie. When he gets home, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He's starting to get a bit sleepy, but before bed, he's going to clear the kitchen of vegetation, make things feel a little bit more homely. And thus ends 3 days with Mr. Eggcat. Actually, before bed on the evening of the 3rd day, he reads a book, because it's 4 o'clock, and he doesn't want to go to bed yet. He wants to reset his sleeping pattern, because it's pretty terrible right now. Which makes sense, it's zombie apocalypse. On the morning of the 4th day, he wakes up. It's a slightly foggy morning, and he decides to do a bit of corpse maintenance. Dumps this one outside. Says good morning to his rubber ducky. Gives it a little pat on the head. And he heads out to do some looting throughout the day. He's going to check out the surrounding area. There's plenty of mansions nearby that might have some good stuff inside. Tools, food, clothes, bags, all kinds of bits and pieces. So he goes for a little rummage. Sees what he can find. Here's a little sped up Mr. Eggcat montage of how he goes about clearing buildings, because I thought you might like to see how slow and methodical he is with his new set of rules so that he never perishes again in a horde of zombies. He's much smarter, uses shouting and whispering to great advantage. Once inside, he finds a carpentry book, pretty useful, and then he heads over the street to this other house which has some special stuff inside. Loads of all kinds of stuff, including, all importantly, another rubber duck, but also downstairs, or upstairs even, some canned food and other stuff, which makes him think that this is probably a survivor house. When he checks downstairs and finds 2 rifles and a bunch of tools, yeah, it's a survivor house. Makes perfect sense. Marks it on the map as such. Then he heads across the street. Here's another little montage of him dispatching a building in quick time, just so you can see how he goes about it. He's pretty efficient, this little leggy. Pretty efficient. He has a Mexican standoff with a bunch of zombies in the street and begins finding a car key in a car right next to his house. Brilliant. Mr. Eggcat is feeling very lucky right now. It's the car's in like okay nick as well. He's got no fuel and some of the tires are a bit rubbish, but it's a good start. It's definitely be able to help him get to A to B, do some loot runs further and deeper into the zombie infested city. He marks off the houses that he's cleared, and it feels pretty good. He goes home and places down the dolls around his living room. Triplets. His 3 little friends. He puts 2 on the sofa and 1 on the armchair. They're going to keep him company in these dark times. He's been alone for a long time. Okay, guys, he's just filling his house with some friends. His rubber duck is still on the floor too. Puts down his hockey mask. Loves it, makes him feel like a serial killer. And he also picks up his other rubber duckies and puts them on the counter. They are also going to be something to keep his mind distracted. Every time he finds a rubber duck, he brings it home, puts it on the counter, slowly builds a collection. Puts his fedora on top of the fridge, and that's about it. He then spends the rest of the day clearing out the vegetation from the doll room, only the best for his dolls. He then spends an evening thinking, what should his dolls be called? He never tries to give things a name because he moves around so much, but he feels like this might be his home for a while, so maybe he'll come up with a name for those triplets. He has some canned tuna for dinner. A delicious can of tuna. He eats it straight from the tin, and thus ends his day. He reads a book, obviously, before bed, and has a traditional, customary cigarette before nodding off and beginning on the morning of day 5. He goes out back to clear a zombie that has been growling and sniffling all night. He didn't feel particularly unsafe there. He's been around a long time. He knows that they're not that smart. So he waited till the morning. Slept pretty well regardless of the zombie. He goes about, begins some more looting, finds some more pickles to eat in the nearby house. Delicious. Finds a zombie upstairs. Another one. Suddenly pokes its head from around the corner, gives him a little bit of a fright. Not too much of a problem. He finds a propane torch in a nearby garage. Amazing. What a find. And a metal sheet that he'll carry to. He marks off the buildings that he's looted. Looks pretty good. Keeps having a little look around. Finds more garages. Maybe there's some stuff inside. Sees this one has a generator indoors. Perfect. Never have enough generators. Gonna get that fridge up and running. He also finds some other bits and pieces. Lots of more tools. Useful stuff. A jack in there too. Perfect. He marks it down on his map that there's a generator in this garage because he's going to want to come back to this later. It's extremely useful. He eats some more pickles. He is the pickle man. Everywhere he goes, he eats pickles. Pickle man. Pickle. Eating pickles everywhere he goes. Pickle. He finds a little cupboard that he can smoke a cigarette in. Finds a moment of solace. Sound of the rain outside. Perfect. The apocalypse isn't so bad, Mr. Cat thinks. He heads back in the rain, takes a nice slow walk, gets an overview of his surroundings, nearby streets. No zombies, very peaceful. He gets home, puts up some sheets and does some barricades in the front room. He wants to protect his dolls. He must protect his dolls at all costs. Puts up a sheet, then puts up a metal barricade with his new propane torch. This kind of stuff is going to keep zombies out for a long time. He dismantles his watch by accident, which means he has to climb out the window and grab a wristwatch off one of the zombies from outside. He's not the smartest cookie. He spends the rest of the evening reading books, trying to get his skills up. I think it's still electronics or perhaps carpentry. He's not really sure. They kind of blur into one. He smokes his traditional cigarette, his customary cigarette, says goodnight to the dolls, and thus ends the 5th day with Mr. Eggcat Mark 6. I really hope you've enjoyed this little whirlwind of a week. There'll be plenty more to come. I have high hopes for this character, and I can't wait to explore more of this ruined world. Really glad you have joined me for this video, and if you did enjoy it, please leave a like, maybe subscribe, leave a comment, say what you liked, what you didn't like. Same old, same old. Good night, Mr. Eggcat. Good night, everyone else.